just working on the various pieces of the main menu that I started in the last video. First thing I want to do is just make this frame part just to have a graphic to use. This is my placeholder graphic. I want to make my textured background or textured insets and all that. So that might take a little bit. I haven't even decided if every screen is going to be, or there's a number of submenus and I haven't decided if they're all going to be the same size as this one, but right now I'm going with the, about 304 by 248, and since I'm making this using my button program here, I've got to make it 2 pixels wider and taller than I want because it creates this little really thin gap along the edge there, and once I crop it down it'll be the correct size because I want it to be the same size as this, 304 by 248. So I want to save my button, go into my interface. This will be main menu background. I'll just call it BG. I end up with folders and folders and folders and folders full of images and files, and it gets a bit chaotic. I might have to organize it at some point, be more meticulous about it, but I'm going to crop this down. So now you can see my size is 304 by 248. Since I auto cropped it, I can drop that back in there. Voila, one menu piece. So, I want my, there we go. It's keying out a line there because part of this matched the color. I forgot to reset my transparent color there, so there we go. Here, I'll drop that in there so I can save it. And that's just going to hold until I get all the insert button frames here. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of want to use buttons. These different buttons that I've got here. I haven't decided. Is that upside down? It sure is. Kind of want to use buttons. Do kind of want it to be the right size, so maybe 288. That 288. I can actually make that a window. It's a window sprite, it'll equally stretch out. I don't want it to be a window sprite when I'm done, but for now it will be. So actually, instead of the blue one, I need it to be the black one. This one. Da-da-da-da. Ta-da. And make that the light. So I do kind of want to use my buttons, my existing buttons, just to maintain the visual style. And I haven't made one yet. Okay, so I create a new sprite, give it a name, test main menu. Add an animation, add an image file, go into my interface folder here and find my main menu textured background. And as always, just get rid of the collision here, center everything, make sure that it's set to overlay, and turn off the lighting. Take this out of walking. You don't actually have to put it in the idle pose unless you're doing something with an animated like interface field. You don't have to, but I like to put all my interface graphics in the idle pose just because Ta-da! And I change this to my, oh, it's in an entirely other folder. Cool. Okay, so now that matches everything. I can just quickly go through and swap these out for the right. Ooh, they're all upside down too. Forgot I did that. Oh yeah, as soon as I change to Windows, kind of, ugh. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Change to window first, otherwise it resets all the height and size stuff. And I don't have to rotate it. A lot of clicking, and when I'm working on interfaces, it sometimes seems super tedious because you do have to do the same thing over and over and over a lot. But the end result is nice. You end up with cool interactive interfaces. You can make all kinds of cool displays and maps and inventory screens and whatnot. And change the colors. Just want it a little bit lighter so you can actually see it over the background. I haven't quite decided what I want to work on tonight. Specifically, I do want to finish up a couple of the menu screens. I probably want to get into sliders for my volume settings and stuff. I might do a little bit of save game stuff. I think that's what I wanted to do when I ended the last video. Oops. Just want to set all of these unselected colors. Oh, did I freeze it? No. Oh. Save is darker. Okay. All I'm doing is just replacing all these so that they match the rest of the game's interfaces. And I'm going to come back through and there's going to be a little bit more detail work that I'm going to add. I want to add a little bit of shadow behind the buttons, like I've done with most of the other buttons in the game. And I might be able to do that with what I've already got saved elsewhere. We'll see. Sorry for blasting that out loud, so loud, or blasting your eardrums out. Okay, so there's my menu. I haven't made everything selectable on here, and also it's currently not set to overlay everything, so it doesn't block the interface behind it. That's not in there. I want to jump in here, changes it to main menu. However, I'll make a little space here. This is kind of like, it gives behaviors to interfaces, even if they're already on. Changing the active, it's hard to explain the difference between them, because changing the active interface will turn on an interface if it's not on, but it passes the main control priority, the controls that are considered, or the interface is considered the main interface. So whenever you're using like navigation events, interface navigation events, if you have them set to navigate the main interface, the only way to pass that is by using the activate or change active interface, and that's the change active interface event here. This will turn it on if it's not already on, and then you can choose to keep or hide the one behind it. But if you're using the show hide interface, that has several other options here. You can have it turn it on or off, but you can also set it to overlay or parallel, or have it bring to the front or not. And so what I wanted to do is set it to overlay, and it's already going to be in the front. You know, I can actually set it to no if I want, but it doesn't matter. So this one will turn it on and pass the main active interface control to the main menu, and this will turn it into an overlay, which will block everything behind it, so I can't click on anything else until it's closed. That's not what I wanted to do. I accidentally set it to this interface, which is not what I want. I want to main menu. Main menu. Main menu. This is what I named it last night. Come on. And can't click on or mouse over any of these things. I can still mouse over the stuff in the game, but I can't click on it. So there's a couple little things I can also do there. I think I have to add a condition to stop those triggers. But it overlays all my other interfaces, so you can't click on anything else. You can only click on this. I'm probably going to have it so that if you open the main menu, that it grays out everything, just to indicate that you can't click on them. And then it passes the main control back to the flight buttons interface. Okay, now to make all of these selectable, just because they're all going to be. I'm going to go ahead and start naming these. This will be resume game label, and that's resume game button. I guess I just leave it resume game. Save game button. Oops. Yes. Options button. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Exit game button. Which one is this? Save game. Hold on. I did something wrong here. That was the load game button. Whoops. Just kind of on autopilot there. Scooch. Actually, I want to leave that there. I think I want to do the standard selector on this interface. I think. Load game. Options. Exit to desktop. title screen. I'll just update that so it also says screen. And then what I want to do is move each of my labels all the way to the front in the order that I want them to be. Load game, options to the front, exit to desktop to the front, exit to title screen to the front. So that gives me resume button, save, load, options, exit desktop. Okay. Then I can get one of these guys. Whoop. Let's call it main menu selector. We'll make it bluesky. And this will go in between the labels and the buttons. Oh no. Just want to scoot it back so it's in between the labels and the buttons. That way it'll pass between the background and the text. So I'll put that over the top, and for now I'm going to set that as my selector field, which is right in the center now. Boop. Boop. They'll just give me a basic menu, just like this title screen menu here. And gotta fix the save game colors. And the reason that I can't hover over the buttons yet is because I haven't associated anything with the labels. So first thing I want to do is fix this so that the color is right. It's still set to static, so unselected will be the light gray, selected will be white, disabled is dark gray, doot, and then I want to associate, each of the buttons with their labels. So associate with field here, I want to associate that with the resume game. Save game button will be associated with the save game label. And so forth, just going down the list. Oops, I do that sometimes, accidentally click on the same thing. Because my mouse is actually pretty crappy. And the laptop mouse on this computer is even worse. Exit to desktop button to the exit to desktop label, and exit to title screen button to exit to title screen. And I can turn off per pixel cursor on all of those. I don't actually need per pixel cursor. They're all currently also set to be window, and that's that's fine for now. I'm going to make a button that's the correct size, so I do not have to deal with window buttons. I just want them to be static sprites, so I want to make sure everything's set. There we go. Oops. Boop, 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 boop. Do, 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 do. That allows it so that the the entire button will highlight whenever you're mousing over. So now you can click on the button, go back to the game, exit to the title screen, or exit the game entirely. Neat burrito. Now I can add my button behaviors. It's going to be pretty much exactly the same ones that I'm using on the title screen, so I can kind of jump in here. And I believe I can just copy a couple of these triggers that I've got here. So I'm not using a selector on this. Yes, I am. Okay. My using a sprite selector. No, I'm not. Okay. I'm just changing the colors. So, there's about a million different ways you can do buttons. So, I've kind of not really made it a point to, but in most of my interfaces I've got buttons set up similarly, but most of them are a little bit different from each other. Some are set up to use a selector, some do not, and just change colors whenever you move your mouse over them. And there's not really a right way. It's just whatever you like, whatever you're feeling. So I'm going to go back in here. Whenever you click on, if this field is activated, first let's clear out these. If mouse touch down on this, that means the selector will be over this label. So we'll just change the sprite of this menu selector. I just got to find my pressed button interface button, which, yeah, it could be anywhere in here, but there we go. I'm going to change it to pressed. And then if mouse touch up, we'll change it back to highlight. So that should give me a button press behavior when I click on it. It's going to be very simple for now. I don't know if I'm getting sick or what. My nose is a little bit weird tonight. But yeah, if you click on it, I do also want it to reset. Nothing else does anything yet, but that's just some simple triggers that'll change it to a pressed state. I'm just going to copy, paste the touch down trigger into these other labels here, just to give it a little button press animation. I might change it later. I usually kind of build off of things layer by layer, just get things working, basic functionality, and then I tweak things, make more adjustments as I'm going along. Usually I'll run into stuff that I think will look better or I could do better, and so once I get the basics in there, then I'll eventually go into more detailed work later. So now I've got button down action, and copy paste the button up action or trigger, mouse touch up. That'll return the selector to normal. Few little details, like if you click and hold down and move the mouse outside of the box, it won't return it back to a depressed button, or yeah, unpressed button. So there's a couple things I have to do to make the buttons exactly right. For just my basic menu here, click on a button, it'll button press. As you see, if you move off of it, you lose the the mouse up trigger. So if I just have it to a mouse leave trigger, it will change the state of the selector no matter what. So let me try. I could actually make this into a spawned collection as well, just to simplify things. But for now, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm just going to have individual buttons. Let's go ahead and just add a mouse leave to have it change back to highlight in case you're clicking and you leave the button. Copy that. Paste. It's a quick way. Just right click P, enter. Right click P, enter. Right click P, enter, and not inside the button, but inside the label. Oops. Right click P, enter. See if that is all I need to do. Yep, that's all I need to do. Now I've got my button behaviors. All I gotta do is set it up so this little selection frame thing doesn't keep popping up in the background like that. Also needs a pause game event because everything back here is moving around. So let me jump back into that control. The very first thing it's going to do, I'll add a pause. Pause resume game event. Pause the game. And I can't remember if I put it in the canceled. I think I did. Resume. No, I didn't. Well, then resume the game at the end. Pause at the beginning of my scripts and resume the game at the end of my scripts. I don't know if there's any good reason for that, but that's how I do it. Now let's try to zoom it along. And as you can see, everything in the background pauses until I resume the game. You can also very easily just add a pause button that brings up a paused text in the middle of the screen, so you don't have to just use the main menu. But now I've got three little menus here that do nothing at the moment. Options, save game, and load game. Those already exist. So there's save game, load game, and this is a single menu for both. And that's a little bit tough to explain, but I'll go into my older project because I've got everything set up. But the way that it works is it just flips a variable to determine whether you're loading or saving a file. But that's chosen by which button you click on. So I'll come over here to my main menu. I've got my save game and my load game labels or my buttons. Whenever you activate the save game, there's a built-in event called show save game, and that will pull up the default interface set for save games. And I believe you set that in the settings here in your save game and load game drop-down menus here. They're usually the same menu by default, so what that does is when the interface is entered, right now this is an old set of scripting I had, but it would change the name automatically using a script when you enter, but I think I set it up to just retrieve and change the text. I don't actually remember what I did. But all it does is, if it's set to save game, it'll save, and if it's set to load, it will load a slot. So there's a couple things that it does when I do a save game. And there's another interface that pops up here, and you can give it a name. And once you've named it, there's an entire there's a separate script on another interface, I believe, actually. Yep, the confirmation. You confirm the name of your save game. Then there's this big bloop-de-doo script here. And there's another script that I've got running at the very beginning that actually stores all of the information related to actors in the game. So that's a complicated looking script full of little loops. There's actually a set of tables that are used to save all of the variables and all of the actors in the game. So there's some semi-complicated looking scripting here, but it's really not. All it's doing is entering in a value for a row in a table. So I'll try and get to that tonight. I'm gonna go fill my water bottle. So for now, I'm just kind of going to modify most of these are just modified versions of the default save menus from 001. Because everything's really where it needs to be, everything works exactly the way it should. You can make your own from scratch if you want, but I do like to use the built-in stuff if I can. Don't have to, but... So what this will do when you first enter, I didn't need it because I changed things somewhere else, but when you first enter, depending on whether this is going to be a save game or a load game, it will change the field at the top here where it says save load game. Now this is huge, it doesn't have to be, and I do want to change this this background to my main menu background that I just imported, which will be here. And I've currently got it set to use the built-in engine colors, and I don't need it to right now, so I'll just make it static because it's a background. It's never going to need to change color. Then I've got this save load game thing here, and I want it to say something different when I come into the interface, so it'll say something like save load universe. And I'll set that in here. Save universe or load universe. And I'll just center that at the top here, just for now. And then I've got these 4 slots, and they'll take up their own spots once I get all the buttons in place. I might have a 5th slot. I might actually be able to fit a 5th slot. Who knows? I've only ever had 4 slots, since by default 001 kind of just has 4. So let's just move them all up by 1. This is the border, which doesn't exist anymore. Normally there's a graphic that goes around the outside edge, and it's non-existent right now. by default, it's got a transparent blue background and then a solid line of a border, and that's what comes with 001. But I'm going to do my own, so I don't actually think I need the border. I'm going to leave it in there for now. And I'm going to come back over to my main menu. And when you click on this Save Game button, we'll say, brings up the default Save Game menu. And that will flip-flop over to our save game menu. And it just passes the priority over like any other interface. Now, the problem I see here now is I need to realign. Go and grab these coordinates here. My save game menu is not in the right place, so turn off my snapping. I think this is set to a sprite. No, it's set to a window. Okay. I want it to be at 32 instead of 36. Turn my snapping back on, scooch this up one, and I'll figure all that out as I go. I want to put the buttons in here. Actually, come back in here, copy one of these backgrounds. So I'll have my save game slots. So these have another field, the border, which I don't actually need because I'm going to be adding these button backgrounds, so I can delete all of these borders here. They're not attached to any scripting, so nothing will break. And then I want to move all of my choices forward. So first slot will be a button here. I might center them. I'll decide as I go. It's not super important at the moment. 3. Okay, 4 slots. Could just give it the 5th slot. Actually, I just want to move all these to the front. To the front, move to the front, and then we'll associate each of these with each of the slot choices. Save game button 2 to slot 2 choice, save game button 3, slot 3 choice, and save game button 4 to slot 4 choice. So that'll give me this basic little save menu. It's a couple changes I'm going to want to do. And then I want to fix up, I want to add shadows and stuff at some point later, but I want to fix up how many choices there are because I only have 4. I can make a 5th slot because I've got the space for it. I don't remember why I only had 4 in the other game, or in the previous version. So you open that up and you get this series here that when you click on one of these, it'll open up a naming field that you can actually type into, and it'll update the slot name. Load game at the moment does nothing, so let's go back over to the main menu and just throw that behavior in here. It'll do the same thing. You just type in load and show load game. That basically brings up the exact same menu. It'll bring up the save load game menu, but since we're loading a game, it'll tell the interface that we're currently, the main.save load is currently set to load, so it will be a 0 and take the right path whenever the menu opens. I'll kind of explain that here when I look at the save slots. So from there, click on the load game, it'll bring up all the slots. See it says load universe here, and if you click on save, it'll say save universe. So it's the same menu, just using the main.save game use value to determine whether we're loading or saving a game. And oh no. So, do want, whenever this is canceled, it'll turn this off, say save game is done, and then I do want to pass active back to the main menu, because it does not seem to be. So I'm going to copy that. I don't have to, so just kidding, ignore that. Let me try this really quick. It's not properly closing the menu like I want it to once I come back from the save menu. So, go in here, go to save game. There we go. Escape, escape. So I just had to pass, because whenever you use show game or show save game or show load game, it actually passes the active interface to the save game menu, and when you close it, it doesn't pass it back. So put that in there to pass it back to the main menu screen. And let's make sure I got all these positions right. I want the first save slot to be at this position. Be slightly lower. And this can fit in there. I might have some kind of inset to display that. I have not decided yet. Oh, just stabbed myself on something. I don't know what that was. Ouch. And then lastly, it brings up this little save game naming menu. I want to create another one of these. So 224 by 96. I will need a 226 by 98 bump field here, or bump button. This is also going to be temporary. I kind of want this renaming menu to be a little bit bigger, but for now, just save that as rename menu background. Come back in here, grab my little bump, auto crop it. Oh, I want it auto crop. Oh, because it's got a background color. So I want to restore transparency first. Click that little thin layer on the outside edge. Now I can crop it down. It's 96, 224 by 96. And there's my button. That will be rename menu BG textured. So I'm going to close a lot of these folders that I'm not using at the moment. Come down here. I'm going to redo all of the graphics the way that they're set up and arranged and organized, because they're very poorly organized right now. And that is main menu, rename menu. There we are. Now just a couple quick things that I've done 1,000 times. Center everything, overlay, disable lighting, color unaffected, cut it out of walking, put it in idle, and I'll call it a UI element. I can just change this background, to my rename. Oh, did I not rename it? I didn't. I do that a lot. Test rename menu. Now, the border, don't actually need the border. Let's clear the border out. And the input spot is where you type in the name of the save game and all that. And so it'll do all this once you press enter. I'm going to actually create a confirmation button at some point. I think for now I'm going to stick with this little default input button. Save game. None of these are lighting up or anything because I don't have a selector yet. Oh, what do I do? There isn't a field called text. There never was. Oh, yes there was. What did I do? I meant to delete the border, not the text field. Whoops. Oops. Okay. So that all passes my priorities between menus. Load game will bring up the load universe, and it does mess everything up at the moment because I don't have anything set up right. So let's give it a go here first. There's a couple things I have to do for save load games. So the first thing, create a new save game here, and we'll just call it save game test. So it'll store it there. We can back out of that. And nothing will work at the moment because I don't have anything set up correctly. I'll explain what that means. It's trying to load the entire game using the oh my gosh, the load game trigger, which is up here. Loaded a game. All it's doing is saying a game has been loaded, and it's starting a whole new game that's doing all this scripting. It's forcing the focus on the title screen. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff. So there's a few things that I had to set up in the alpha beta prototype. So some of this I can't remember, some of it I do, but I have to check. A lot of times I have to check some of my old scripts. So when you load a game, it does a few things, checks to see if there is a save game, and goes through and restores a whole bunch of settings. And I believe in the very beginning, let me make sure. Yeah, it checks to see if there's certain files in existence. Preload. Don't remember what I did to keep it from launching my menu screen. Now, I don't remember the best way to go about this. Well, some of it I'm going to have to experiment with because it's been a few years since I've actually done a save game system. There's a few things that I want to do to store active variables and stuff. So, what is this? Why? Bear with me while I fiddle around. Why is it telling me this? Okay, so I broke things by adding this little condition in here. Probably because there isn't a value for it. Weird. So I want to make that turn on the load game menu as well. So on the title screen, I'll have I might have to set this up so that the buttons and title are separate, but for now I've got the option to load. That'll just temporarily give me an option at the menu to bring up the load screen. So I can just jump right in from there. It'll show me the load game menu, and I want to actually have it pan to the center when I get to that point. And right now it's loading me with the message box over everything and the title screen on top of everything. So I gotta figure out what's making it do that. So my message box is an easy fix. No. Kinda wanna delete that for now. Double check my default screen is the title screen. So let's set that to none. And then at the beginning of this, turn on my title screen. Ooh, that's wrong. Well, that's incorrect. Well, I'll deal with that later. Okay, so now it doesn't load up the title screen. But it also doesn't load up anything. So that's another issue. It's trying to load up all of my pointers, or the... Oh, it's in the rover? The rover should not be loading like that. There's a lot of things I have to figure out here. So you might just be watching me tool around for a bit. Hopefully it's not too boring. Make sure something else hasn't broken, since I've removed the rover from the party at the beginning of the game. It gets added when you join, or surface, land on the surface. Let's see. So create a new save game here. And I'll go back to the title screen, continue from there. Now I don't get what it's trying to do. Problem is, usually when I load a game, nothing shows up here in the interface menu. There's a few things that I have done in my previous prototype to reload all the maps that were loaded, and all the objects, and it's a pain in the butt. So examining my settings here, you see that I just have this camera set up as my main screen, and that's just a big camera. No real reason. So that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out what I did differently. It doesn't appear that I did much different. A lot of this stuff is really messy and really old, so it's not very useful. Because there's some things that are trying to load when interfaces haven't been turned on yet, so they're trying to access things that don't exist. This might be something I have to come back to. I'm going to mess around with it a little bit more though, just to see if I can figure anything out. So, what are you trying to do? is a trigger in Helios Station. I'm confused. I have it set up so that the rover is not initially in the party, but it appears to be in the party. And it's trying to load stuff from the rover. You'll never be able to save the game while you're on a planet exploring with the rover, so it'll always be saved on the spaceflight map. So I'm going to redo this. Testing. First I want to check my players. So you can see the rover's not in the party at all. There's no rover loaded. No rover, no rover. Not sure why these are all loaded though. Orbit map is always loaded. So the rover is non-existent. It shouldn't even be on the map. Okay. It's going to take some investigating. It's mostly the rover that seems to be giving me the trouble here. Alright, so let's actually include a switch here. So all of that only happens whenever the rover has been deployed onto the surface. So it looks like those are just trying to run over and over and over. Give it a save. Rover. Go back to the title screen, see what happens with all my errors here. So, why is it checking? Oh, yeah. Because nothing is currently selected. Also, I think those triggers that are checking right now are mostly being unused at the moment. These are my damage scripts, so let me grab that condition there. Save it for now. I'm just going to disconnect these two. For now, just to get rid of that error. I'll come back to tackling that at another time. So we'll I'll save. Give it a new name each time. Now we'll see what errors I get this time. Okay, so it's trying to... Where's my error? In the trigger of Helios Station. Which would be this one. And we'll just use a condition after main.map has been loaded. Now, the way that this type of save game works is it should allow me to load it and test it this way, but it's not. Let's try that one more time. Create a new save game. Busted. What is my error now? It's constantly trying to do this this script here. Which I can't even get past because it's trying to hear a person. I may have to go and help a guest here at the hotel. I may not. Okay, so let me check see what it's saving here. So, once you give it a name, saves everything to save game slots. And that basically saves all of your collections, your switches, tables. Doesn't save actor variables, interface variables, and stuff. But so, the tricky part I'm running into is the navigation stuff. Let's see. I want to make sure that the interface is on. I want to actually just to check to see if the minimap is on. I just want any condition. Any condition that'll keep it from running that until stuff is actually loaded. Shouldn't be having this much trouble. Okay, so it loaded up the game. No errors. I don't have any interfaces up. I'll have it turn on the flight menu. Oops. Why? Where? What's it doing? Okay, so there's a lot of little details that I'll have to figure out here. It doesn't reset the controls when you load the game. There's also, let's see. Let's get rid of this message box first. Oh. Just in case it's still paused as well. Have an unpause event. For now, I just want it to be able to reload where I am if I move around. Get a little basic save load system going. So make a new game. We'll scooch up here just a little bit. Save. And we'll exit to the title screen. Control, continue. And ignore. It's going to do that for now. So it does position us up here where it's supposed to. And there's a couple switches that stay turned on. Now I'm not really sure. I think it's because the rover is in the party. No? Why can't I move? Ah. What? I don't know what it's doing. It's because there's nothing there. That's a lot of errors. Trying to reset the minimap. It seems that only one field is firing errors over and over, and it's the one that's not being spawned from another field. It's just the player dot. Not sure what it's adding there. I don't know where 6544 is. Let's see. I don't think I can see my interfaces. Sure can't. I think it's because it's trying to multiply a non-existent number here. So, let me try some things. I need to get my minimap number. I forget where I have that. It's basically the size of the map divided, or yeah, size of the minimap divided by the size of the map. So let me try setting minimap divider I forget if it's this. I think it's the size of the minimap divided by the size of the map frame. I just did this yesterday or the day before with the sector map. Having a lot of brain farts tonight. Been a rough week. Okay, let's try. Make one more new save game. Get that error one more time. So much going on here. Why does it not refresh my minimap?
Docking.
Get off my screen. Okay, let me try one thing here. Add. What was this? Oh yeah, this turns on my sector map. What I want this to do is tell me what value I have in my minimap divider, or if there's anything at all. And why? Hooray, bug hunting. My minimap divider value, this little teeny tiny number. So let's load the game. Okay, so there's a couple things I gotta do here first. my controls are still set up to be menu. So first thing I want to do is turn that off. I forget what interface navigating is. Interface menu off. We'll go ahead and turn off the menu controls. Turn on the spaceflight controls. The controls should actually be last after everything, all the other operations have finished, then the controls resume, but for now I'm just gonna set them up so that in the script we'll make a new save. I'll scoot over here. Save. Broken bugs. Error. And now I still, why? It shouldn't be doing that. It should not be sending me to the surface map. Okay. You can obviously see that menu controls are still on for some reason when they shouldn't be. So we'll come back in here. I'll put this at the very end. Disable the menu controls. I do not want the menu controls to be on, but they apparently are. Why can't I ever click on this? Okay. Make a new save. Blah, blah, blah. Get our error. And I'm not getting any value here. No value. So let's take this and stick that at the end as well, because I'm actually resetting the overlay when I load the game. So I don't know if that's what I want. All of this is just me testing. This is a normal day. A normal day of driving myself crazy trying to figure things out bit by bit with experimenting. Save me. Broken. Okay, so it loaded up this time with no errors. I've got my mini-map there. Now the rover should not be here when you load the game. So let's go in here. We'll have the rover leave the party. I might just have to turn off the existence of the rover like I do at the beginning of the game. also don't know why I can't move right when I start. There's no reason. That's right. It doesn't since it doesn't restore actor variables. There's a couple things that I do at the very beginning. I believe it should actually do it whenever it's loaded, so I'm not really sure what it's doing here. That'll be under ship when it's loaded. Let's give that a go. That loaded trigger is skipping the step that I need to store the thruster speed whenever it's loaded. Okay, so at the very beginning of the game, that's right, okay. Because it doesn't have anything equipped in the beginning. So it's a little bit obnoxious. I've run into a lot of weird issues. Let's go ahead and set this up. Duster, I don't think I have something for all of these, but it's because it starts the game without gear. It's trying to check a value that it says isn't there, and I've had issues with actor templates not loading the gear that they're supposed to have, just like that, even though you can clearly see that I just set the actor template. It's got gear, totally does. I'll set it up so every step of the way it has gear equipped. So it's got all of these in the base actor, it's got all of these in the default actor. These are all set up in the base actor, these are all set up in the default. Let me make sure. And then the player party member, you can't even set up anything here, so if it doesn't load it up from the template, I don't know. I've tried equipping the gear at the beginning of the game to skip that error, but yeah, see. The player ship doesn't have any gear on. So let's say the player is not currently in the party. See if I can just add the player after you get past the title screen. Yeah, it's loading the player anyway, which is really dumb. I've set it so it's not in the party. I don't want either of them in the party. The first player currently has no existing party members, so that's what I want. I don't want any party members because it's trying to check something from a party member. The problem is it's going to do it anyways, even if the default template says that it has gear on it. It's telling me that it doesn't have any gear. So I've run into that issue Even more annoying is that it does equip all of that at the very beginning of the game. Unfortunately, it doesn't run that until after the loaded trigger, so I'm running into all kinds of issues. So now the player has gear on. Oh, that's so silly. I don't understand. Sorry if this isn't the clearest video related to save game stuff, but it's mostly little nitpicky details that are related to my own project. You likely won't run into the same exact errors. Toots. Okay, so don't want any of that. Problem is I do want that. I need that loaded trigger. I need that loaded trigger to load the statistics correctly. So let's do a condition. Equipment of this thruster is not nothing. If it's not nothing, store the value. So that should bypass the error at the very beginning, but I don't think it's going to do what I want because when you start a new game, I guess the first thing the player ship does is load its thruster value in. But let's make a new save game. Poots. And I can't move because I don't have a thruster value. For some reason. Now, if I hit the booster button and go check, it changes my thruster value. So you can see that the thruster is now what it's supposed to be. So it's not retrieving that correctly when the game loads. What I want it to do is, it should be doing that here. do something a little bit dumb.